Sawadee welcome to Hot Thai Kitchen. So if somehow you were only allowed to make one Thai dish ever, I think it should be Tom Kha Gai. Because one, it is a true crowd pleaser. I have never seen anyone not love it, kids and adults alike. And two, the ingredients and flavors are so iconic of Thai cuisine that in one bowl you get a really good idea of what Thai food is all about. It's a delicious coconut chicken soup that uses galangal, or the kha in tom kha, as the key flavor. It is light, it is comforting, it's not very spicy, and it is very easy to make. Now, there are a lot of tom kha gai recipes out there, but I am telling you, this is the one you want to make because it's going to taste just like the one I had growing up in Thailand, and it has stood the test of time. It has been over 10 years since I posted the original recipe, and today I'm still getting great feedback from people all around the world. So this is going to be an updated video tutorial for an OG Hot Thai Kitchen recipe with new tips and tricks. So even if you've made it before, I think you'll still learn something new. Let's get started. All right, I've got some unsalted homemade chicken stock here that I'm going to bring to a simmer. If you have to use water, it's fine, but obviously chicken stock is going to taste better. If you have to use store-bought, just taste it and make sure it's relatively neutral tasting because some brands can have very distinct flavors of herbs or aromatics that they put in there, and it can really throw off the flavor of this soup. So to be safe, whip up a batch of Thai-style homemade stock. It is super easy. I'll link to the recipe below. Okay, now I'm gonna bring it to a simmer. And so I've got some chicken thighs here that I have cut into about 1-inch pieces. It's going to shrink significantly once it's done cooking. So I'll put that in there. Boneless, skinless chicken thighs. And because my broth is unsalted, I'm going to add some salt. I'm going to let that braise, which means simmer gently, for about 15 minutes until the chicken is fork tender. So tom in tom kha gai means to boil or to simmer, and gai is chicken. So we are tomming the gai right here at this step. And the reason I want to let the chicken braise slowly as opposed to just dropping them in at the end for a couple minutes is so that one, the chicken has time to absorb the seasoning and become flavorful, and also the chicken will have more time to release its juices into the soup and make the broth more flavorful. So it's the flavor exchange that we are going for here. But that means that you have to use chicken thighs because chicken breast does not braise well. If you cook it for 15 minutes, it'll just turn dry. If you insist on breasts, you will have to marinate and put it in at the end, and I'll include all the details in the written recipe. While the chicken is simmering, we can prep the herbs. First, the soup's namesake, the kha or galangal. All you need to do is slice them into thin rounds, but if you're finding it difficult to cut, you may be trying to cut through the roots, which are these little dots. So move your knife off it and it might be easier. If it's still hard, that means you have a mature galangal and you'll just have to muscle through it. Just be careful not to cut yourself. Next is lemongrass. I'm going to first cut it in half. For this recipe, we only need to use the bottom half, which is the more flavorful half. I'll cut off the root end and peel off any super dry outer layers. Then you can smash it with the back of your knife, or even better, use a pestle to open up the cells so that the aroma of the lemongrass can come out into the soup. Cut it into big chunks, and now it's ready to go. Now the top half has weaker flavor, so I just remove the dry bits and then freeze it for making stock. But if you have no use for them and you don't want to keep them, you can just smash them and throw them into the soup as a bonus. The last herb is makrut, lime leaves, which has a beautiful citrusy aroma. All you have to do is grab them and twist and tear them into big chunks to bruise the leaves and release the aroma. If there is a big center rib, you can remove that as well. Finally, some chilies. Tom kha gai should not be a super spicy soup, so I'm just gonna cut one chili on a diagonal and let it infuse gently into the soup. And that is it. If you have questions about any of these herbs, I have much more information on them on hotthaikitchen.com. All right. Oh, it smells good already. I haven't added anything. The chicken is now fork tender. Now we're going to add coconut milk. And by the way, The ratio of coconut milk to chicken stock is totally customizable. Like I'm making sort of like a medium richness here, but you can do even less coconut milk if you're going for something super light. It's actually really good that way as well. Or if you prefer something really creamy, you can up the ratio a little bit. So it's totally within your control. All of our prep herbs are going in. Now, extremely important point. All of the herbs that we just added are for infusion purposes only. They are not meant to be eaten, okay? But Thai people always leave them in there as a garnish, so it visually represents all the flavors that are in there, but we know not to eat them. Your diners probably don't unless they're familiar with Thai food, so you need to tell them don't eat those things, and if they eat it, they will quickly realize they are not meant to be eaten. Now, if you don't want to have to navigate through all these herbs, you can wrap everything in a cheesecloth and then pull it out. But the soup does look better with the bits and pieces in there, but the choice is yours. Next, we're going to add mushrooms. Now, traditionally, Tom Kha Gai uses straw mushrooms, which I can't find fresh here, but my other favorite is oyster mushrooms because these gills, see these gills, hold on to so much broth and it's just so delicious. I actually prefer oyster mushrooms to straw mushrooms. So I'm going to add these in here and hopefully my soup will not overflow out of this pot. I think we're okay. Everything will shrink down. Don't worry, nobody panics. I'm going to season my soup with fish sauce, but I'm just going to add half of it for now. Because, you know, things simmer, sometimes they evaporate at different rates. You don't want to just make it too salty by accident. So I saved a little bit for adjustment at the end, just a little bit. I'm also going to add a little bit of finely chopped palm sugar. Oh no, don't overflow. It's just a small amount to balance the salt and the acid that we're going to add. But because it's such a small amount, if you don't have palm sugar, it's fine. White sugar, brown sugar, whatever kind of sweetener will do. And that is it. Now this just needs to simmer for about 4 to 5 minutes. It does not take long for these herbs to do their magic, so this soup is very weeknight friendly. While we're waiting for the soup, we have time for a quick rant. So some people will tell you that if you don't have galangal, you can just use ginger instead. Same. No. If somebody tells you that you can use ginger instead of galangal, I want you to close that recipe and walk away and never to look at it again. Is it going to be bad if you use ginger in the soup instead of galangal? No, it will not be bad. You will still probably enjoy it. But it will taste very different. You need to know that ginger and galangal do not taste or smell the same, and if you use it, you will end up with not tom kha gai because you have literally taken the kha out of tom kha gai, okay? It's sort of like saying, can you put rosemary on a margarita pizza instead of basil? Sure you can. Will it still taste good? Probably it'll be fine, but you're not making margarita pizza at that point, right? Anyway, if you don't have fresh, first look for frozen. Lots of stores will sell it frozen, but not fresh. If you can't find that, online you can find dried galangal pieces, which will still work in this soup, okay? Powdered galangal does not work quite as well. I don't recommend it. And if you can't find anything, maybe you go make something else, okay? Lots of other great recipes. That smells so good right now. Okay, it's done. I'm going to turn it off. And then I will add the lime juice. And we add lime juice at the end because for best flavor, we don't want to cook the lime juice. Now, unlike tom yum soup or other famous soup, the lime in here is quite subtle. You want to be able to taste a little bit of acidity, but it shouldn't be the main flavor. I'm going to give this a taste. Very important with any simmering things you want to taste and adjust seasoning. That's it, I'm done. Goodbye, everybody. So good. I will add the rest of my reserved fish sauce, and that's it. Like, I'm happy with the acidity. I could do a little more lime. Why not? Just a little bit. We want to finish it off with some cilantro. You can also do green onions if you are opposed to cilantro. And it is ready to serve. By the way, if you have tom kha gai in certain Thai restaurants, sometimes you will see like redness on top, like red oil on top. That is something that Thai restaurants in North America like to do. They drizzle some chili oil or they add a little bit of Thai chili paste to it to make the color of the soup brighter. But know that that is not traditional. Traditional tom kha gai is a white soup, but I guess many restaurants feel like it doesn't look as nice if it doesn't have some red, so they drizzle that red on top. So if you want to do that, I would say take just a neutral flavored chili oil and do a drizzle on top so you don't mess with the flavor of the soup itself. I am recovering from a cold right now, and I'm telling you, when Thai people are sick, this is one of the things that we love to eat because it's not spicy, but it's comforting. It's like our version of chicken noodle soup. Okay. Now, I will tell you what I personally do with all the inedible herbs is I actually remove some of them, like about half, maybe 3/4 of them, but I make sure I leave some in there because the soup is much prettier with these herbs in it. But to make it easier to eat at the table when we're serving it, then we don't have to navigate through, so much of the bit. So you can do that too if you want. Now, this soup is typically served with jasmine rice as part of a Thai meal. And I have a video all about how to eat a Thai meal like a Thai and how soup fits into that. But you can also just eat it on its own. What I like to do is take some rice, some jasmine rice, and just put it into the soup. And then it becomes a complete meal in one. But the soup by itself is also great. This was one of my favorite things growing up. Like it just brings so many good memories. Get some mushrooms. The mushrooms arguably are the better parts of this soup. I want to cry, it's so good. I cannot think of anything more comforting and more delicious than this right now, especially like I'm still recovering from the cold. So even though the soup name only has galangal in it, tom kha gai, all three herbs are actually very important because the kha brings that piney aroma to the soup, but the lemongrass and lime leaves offer a citrusy aroma that help balance and sort of complement the piney aroma very, very well. So it's not really complete without all three herbs, even though there's only one in the name. In fact, these three herbs are used together in so many Thai dishes, including our famous soup, Tom Yum soup, which is why I often call these the Tom Yum Trinity. And the great news is once you have them, they all freeze exceedingly well. So this is not something you have to go buy again and again. And that is it. A special thanks to all of our Patreon members who help support the show. The written recipe, as always, will be on hotthaikitchen.com. I will link to below. And in the recipe post, I will also put additional information about modifications, substitutions, and advanced prep, and everything that you want to know. So definitely check that out. Thank you as always for your support, and I will see you next time. สวัสดีค่ะ